Coming up, we're going to discuss Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Beware the Baba Yaga. Hey everyone, welcome back to Eye to Eye Disney Through Our Eyes. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Jessica.
Today we're going to be taking a look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, the sequel to, I guess we'd call it a blockbuster. If it's in the summer and it's Marvel, it's usually a blockbuster. The previous blockbuster hint, Ant-Man.
Every time you say blockbuster, I just think of the video rental store. I don't think
Blockbuster with a... You don't know what I'm talking about there? Amanda
No.
Show? The Amanda Show, Blockbuster? You don't remember that skit at all? Wow,
No.
man. She continues to disappoint me every single day.
Wow.
Shocker there. Anyway, starting off on a good note
Ant-Man
tonight.
and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, just like we do with every video when we do our reviews, there are major spoilers in this, so if you have not seen any of it, part of it, whatever, heard, read anything about it, do not watch past this moment now.
Unless you want to be spoiled.
Unless you want to be spoiled. So, first question I always ask you, first thing that comes to mind, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I was a little confused.
Yeah, I could tell.
So, the movie started out with...
Were you confused because you were sleeping through most of it?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I only slept through the last third of it.
Don't lie.
Okay, the last half of it. So, but I was confused in the beginning when I was awake, too. About...
You were awake for most of it, but it was just like...
You can't go see movies that late, Kyle. I'm tired.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, I was confused in the beginning about why Ant-Man was on house arrest, and I couldn't figure that out. And apparently it was something to do with Captain America?
So this is the problem, is that you have not watched them all in sequence. So I understand why it's so confusing. But remember in Civil War, he helped Captain America. Thus, that was against the Sokovia Accords that made him a criminal. So he took a plea deal, is what they said, where he's locked up in house arrest with the little ankle bracelet thing.
Right.
And he can't leave for 2 years. And he's 3 days away.
Right.
3 days! That's all you have. And you can't do nothing but just sit there. Which I did love that sequence, by the way.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
it. What was the song I was humming all night last night?
Hello world, there's something
Song that we're singing. We're like butchering.
Come on, get
happy.
Okay, moving on.
He did the drums, he was watching TV, doing all kinds of stuff in his house. I was like, man, this is a life right there.
But then Hank ruins it.
Well, I wouldn't say, no, not Hank. Not Janet. There's so many names in this.
Hope.
Hope comes back and tells them that they need their help.
Well, no. I'm correct. So think, when they were
You
trying...
are right.
When they're trying
I'll
to
never
get
say it
into the
again.
quantum realm, remember, that's when Janet connected with Ant-Man, Scott. Yeah, and that's when he had that, whoa, he freaked out in the bathtub.
What do you have again?
Nope. And then Hope knocked on his door.
Yeah.
So really it was Hank's fault.
I couldn't say it's anybody's fault.
Yeah, it's their fault. They could have waited 3 days.
I mean, if your parent was locked in a realm that only another person had access to, or a clue to how to get them back, wouldn't you go try to?
Oh, I mean, of course. Duh.
I mean, so it's not really.
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying it's their fault.
Okay, so that's what you remember as being confused. Were you confused about everything else? Too?
At the end, I don't know what happened. So there was that crazy girl, the
ghost,
the
Baba
thing-
Yaga.
That's her name?
No, that's what Kurt, one of the comedic relief characters, calls him. The Russian guy.
I don't know who Kurt is.
Baba Yaga.
Oh, he's the tall guy.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just confused, what happened. I think part of the reason I was confused is because I kept drifting off, and then I don't know what happened in the end.
I'll be honest with you. It's not that I was confused, but it was hard to follow this.
Oh, good. At least I'm not the only one.
Just because there were so many moving parts in this, and I think...
Yeah, it kept, flashing to other scenes, and I'm like, wait, what's happening over here?
Yeah.
What's happening over there? And you couldn't really keep up with it.
This is a bad comparison, but it's the best thing I can think of, is like an Ocean's 11, 12, 13, whichever we want to give it, type of movie where this is a heist, but everyone's trying to heist each other. Because you had Ant-Man and the Wasp together. You had, I've had his name pulled up. I can't even remember what it was called here. Sonny Birch and his thugs trying to get him. Here's a verse spoiler. Bill Foster and Ava, or AKA the Ghost, trying to get the quantum accelerator or whatever it was called again. And it's just all of these people are vying for this one object here, some for nefarious means, some for selfish reasons, some trying to save Janet. But I think that's the thing that sticks out to me most from this movie is that the true villain here wasn't any of those characters. It wasn't even the FBI, who was kind of like that villain.
Who was the villain then?
The villain was time. Think about it.
Oh, dang.
I'm not trying to get real deep on this show.
I was going to say, you got real deep.
But think about it, because that is they usually introduce the villain early on, and they introduce it in terms of they've got to get Janet out by this amount of time. Scott's got this amount of time that he has to stay in this house. You know, there was a couple other things that I thought about. Time was the real enemy here, and all of these other parts, even the evil ones, were just kind of obstacles for everybody else.
Okay.
So I think that's the biggest part. Is I like the deepness of it, but I think it suffers because of Ghost. Ghost, yeah. I had no feelings for Ghost in terms of her story. I mean,
her story was so pieced together. Mm-hmm. Like, we got little bits of it. She never really fit in, except that she was forced into the storyline. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel like she fit in the plot of this story. She was just a means to an end. She was just a plot device. And I hate that because, from my understanding, she's a great actor. And I'm not saying that since they let her survive and fixed her, by the end of all this, fixed her. Remember, she got herself stabilized because Janet came back through and did some kind of funky power things on her and stabilized her. Right. So clearly she's got a future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we'll see how that evolves, and maybe we'll learn more about her story, and we'll actually care about her a little bit more, which is probably why they didn't want her to be the true villain. Well, that's true. So what happened to the professor guy? What was his name? Bill Foster. So what happened with his relationship with Hank at the end? I missed that. It seems like they kind of at least left on an face there, because Hank says, if you let me get Janet out, we will fix Ava. You and I will do this together. And they did. They fixed it. You know, Janet actually fixed Ava, but he kind of made good on that promise. So I think it's kind of, maybe they're not, it seems like Hank always has problems with people. I mean, let's be honest. He punches everyone he sees, which is why I love the character of Hank Pym. I mean, I think Michael Douglas in this role is amazing. Yes, I agree. But yeah, I'm guessing they're okay. So is Ava Bill's daughter, or no? Just Ava friends? Was just someone. It was the daughter of someone else who worked with Bill and Hank and she was part of that explosion that gave her powers. There's just like Jessica said, just a lot of moving parts in this that made it there's not a lot of connective tissue that's real solid. That's right. There's not a lot of continuity. Everything. But there's a lot of continuity. It's like they tried to shove so much into this, and I think that's what almost makes this suffer a little bit, because I love this movie. It just, for someone like you, I can understand why it was hard for you to stay awake. Thank you. And it also felt, I mean, I was glad it was short, like it was less than 2 hours, but it just felt very crammed together. Like the beginning of the movie, the first half, was very interesting. The pacing was good. But then towards the end, and I appreciate, faster pacing for the action and everything, but it just felt so rushed, and it felt like, again, just piecemealed together. And I think that's one of the things that's always going to suffer with Ant-Man's story, because I'm sure they're going to do a third one. They have to. It's always going to feel like, because if they keep doing it right after an Avengers movie, it's always going to feel like shoehorned in, and then they're trying to just make up a story after this big event thing. So I hate it for Ant-Man, but at the same time, it kind of gets us over the hump of, especially after Infinity War, Lord knows I haven't gotten over that yet. I love the de-aging process, or stuff they use on Michael Douglas, on Lawrence Fishburne, on Michelle Pfeiffer. That stuff's awesome. Yeah. They did it again. A really good job. I thought at the beginning, because Michael Douglas was like in shadow the entire time, I was like, oh, they didn't spend the money on him this time. But then he came out, I was like, oh, he looks great again. I mean, it's awesome. So funny. So we haven't even talked about the Wasp. Like, this is her introduction into the whole MCU. Yes, we got an image of her standing with the suit for the Wasp at the last movie, and we knew she was coming up, but to actually see her in action, what did you think about Evangeline Lilly playing Hope Van Dyne? I don't know most of those words. Evangeline Lilly is the actress playing Hope Van Dyne, or the Wasp. Why is her last name different than Hank's?
because she took her mother's name. It's Janet Van Dyne. It's kind of like one of those situations where you see professors a lot keep their names for
or important people.
You know, more important than people that sorry you had to take my name.
I'm okay with that. Anyway, I don't even know your original question, but I liked her as the Wasp. And I liked that...
You got the question right.
Okay, good. I liked that the mom used to be the Wasp, and now she's the Wasp. Like, it's kind of coming full circle.
And now he's the Wasp, and he's the Wasp, and she's the Wasp, and they's the Wasp.
No, Wasps...
And it's just the way you said it was Wasps.
Are girls.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to be girls.
Well, in this movie, the mom was Wasp and she was Wasp, so that's girl.
Do you like that family dynamic where it seems like passing on the torch to the next one?
So are what's his face? Scott and Hope gonna get together?
I mean, they kissed in the last one at the very end of it, and they said they did stuff, whatever that means, you know, beforehand. So we don't remember that part there where they mentioned that. Yeah,
but I just feel like they're missing an opportunity there to get people like me invested in this movie.
But here's the problem. I think they've done it too quick. I think the last...
2 movies is too quick?
I don't think they should have kissed at all in the first one. There should have just been little hints there that maybe she was kind of getting fond of him, and they did that. This one, they should have done the first kiss, and then the other one should be them trying to, like, figure it out kind of thing.
And then 7 movies later, they'll get married.
Probably. And then have little waspettes and
what
little
would a wasp and an ant make?
A...
Flying ant?
There's already flying ants. That's what Antony was.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
Or Antonio Banderas.
That was funny.
I really loved the Wasp in this. She's probably one of my favorite characters in the MCU. Up there with like Falcon, the Black Panther, obviously Spider-Man, and Captain America. I really love her. I don't know that I put her
on the same level as Black Panther and Spider-Man, but...
I don't know.
I think she's a good supporting character.
I love... the actress playing it. I think she brings a good spunk to it. I really like her character.
I was glad her hair looked better this one.
It did look a little weird in the original one.
She almost looked like a villain in the first one. Like, her hair was so, and that was probably intentionally, but But this one she looked more kind and nice.
And we haven't said anything about the main character, Scott Lang. What'd you think about him in this one?
I mean, obviously loved him because I love Paul Rudd.
He did a really good job in this one, I think. He's created a really unique character. I feel like he's that klutz who can't get things right, but
he's spunky and funny.
At the right moment he puts it together.
Yeah,
right? You know, and I like seeing him being Giant Man again, and he was really good at being a hero but being funny at the same time. And that's one of the other gripes I have with this movie, is that I think they showed too many of the funny moments in the trailers.
Amen.
Because I laughed throughout the movie, but it was always like kind of like that. I didn't have a good belly laugh except for when, you know, we had a little bit of a poltergeist situation there when Janet taking over Scott's body.
Oh, yeah.
That was really funny. The whole holding hands thing. It's like, what are we doing here?
That was funny.
It was really good. I really enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
What's our rating system going to be?
Well, I mean, I want to be kind of cliche and just say ants.
No, we can't do ants.
Wasps.
Baba Yagas. How about Baba Yagas?
How about that? What's that thing that they were trying to get?
Components.
There you go.
All right, there we go. We'll settle for that.
Are we doing out of 5?
1 out of 5 components.
You're rating it 1 out of 5?
No, 1 out of 5 components.
You mean 1 to 5?
1 to 5 component. I can't say it.
We're not doing components. Oh my gosh! You just wasted 10 minutes of video trying to say that word.
Components. How many do you rate it?
Good job. I give it a 3.
I'd say about 3.5. I want to give it a little bit more than 3, so I'll say a 3.5 components for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Still enjoyed it. Maybe I'll go see it again. Maybe not. I could live without seeing it again, probably. That's kind of my big...
I mean, I'd watch it again, like, once we buy it on DVD.
Oh, yeah.
But I won't see it in theaters.
I mean, it's going to be part of my set here,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know you're going to get it.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying. I'm not going to see it in theaters again.
Well, that's our thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp. We want to know from you, how many components do you give it in your rating system? Or if you have another rating system. What are your general thoughts about the movie? Put that down in the comments section below. We want to hear from you. What else should they do?
If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter.
And that's all we have for you in this episode. But until we assemble again,
may the Force be with you.
And we'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Beware the Baba Yaga! I mean, why's she gotta be a wasp? Could she be like a hornet or a bee? A little honeybee. Ant-Man and the honeybee.
Okay, Winnie the Pooh.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Jessica.
I just had a brain fart. Literally like something like got into my head and then just like there's a stop sign and it just went blank.
Do you think Ant-Man is in your brain?
Yes.